Alright folks, welcome back everyone. 皆さん、おかえりなさい。今日は338日目です。This is day 338. Yesterday was our lesson day, right, for level 32. I try to keep on task today. Still playing a little bit of time catching up. So we had a really fun time chatting, yapping about deeper things. Had a fun little discussion near the end, trying to tackle and rekindle some of my science-y pastimes. Anyways, shouldn't be too bad today, right? 81. There's like another set somewhere. Probably a burn set. Oh, right. Is it? Okay.
お
お
水
水。
変死。
Yeah, some burn items. Oh, this one's kind of weird.
汚れる。久しい。
おてん。大変。温暖。自動的。お。天井。like heaven's surrounding, is it? What the天井。天井。No. Ceiling. 賛成。役者。Whoops. I thought it was your 役者。だ。
雑費。
雑費。How do you spell this? Heck. I think I might have missed enough. E. Okay. Okay.
桜色。
抱負。
Oh, no, wait.
死亡。折り紙。
正当。
頑丈
like sturdy or like hard or sturdy is good, but it's not the best. Or solid, okay, solid, firm, okay. Oh, fua fua. Oh,
技術
Jujutsu.
Sakura
Okay. Oh no. No. Nimotsu. Dang it. How do I... Oh, wait. Oh. Oh. Wait. What? Oh no, wrong type of showy. Something about our... We're gonna have to come back to this. Yeah. Nope. Not happening there.
Someru
Oops.
Logan 自民党
No.
約束する
Yaksoku. 約束する。Uh-oh. Wait. Uh-oh. Whoops. Really? Like, usual. Huh. Oh, there, Mika. This is Prime Minister. Mm.
首相
Oh. Enzen. Ooh. Anzen.
不完全
You're not enjoying your Hazuhiro reviews today? Yeah, ups and downs. Ups and downs.
Sento重ねる
Was I? Oh. This is like to cover an event. I don't like Tolsai. Lessons are okay today. Lessons are always okay for you because you take the exposure. But having issues with mnemonics, mostly with the ones that are 2 or 4 days old, that would stem from the lessons.
Shuzai
Okay. Kokorozashi.
志
Kokorozashi. It's utsuki o suru. No? Tsu. Suru. Oh, to graduate. What's it? そう。卒業する。
卒業する。
卒業する。
眼球。衛星。直進。
閉める。
赤。仏像。
仏像。
取る。
You'll sleep at a fair time today? Solid. Perhaps that may help with focus and memory for future reviews, indeed.
丈夫。
恩人。買う。雑音。事変。液体。
社会と。印鑑。
No clue how you function on the current 3 to 5 schedule, honestly. Well, you better start finding out why you do that, I suppose.
欲求。
昇進。
残す。
返す。
Nice. That's funny. We were just talking about how this is this kai is atamadaka. Forgot about kaesu versus kaeru. Huh.
目。
訳す。
10? 19? No, 妥協する。
妥協する。
Your arm still hurts from moving your hands for some reason. You wonder if it'll go away by the morning. No, hopefully it does when you rest. This does solve a lot of things. Sotsugyoushiki. Sotsugyoushiki. Alright, good luck. Good luck with your Anki reviews, James. Good luck, good luck.
成績
Seiseki. Grades.
順序
Injo.
意欲
よく
通
通
訳
訳通訳
先祖
戦争戦争福島福島
共
共産
産党
党risk air same difference
竹
okay
複雑
銭序
余
文
分余分
食
食
欲
欲食欲
祖父
祖父一個
希
希望
望する
する
鑑
安
定
定a model that is determined. How do we model determine things? This one's negotiable, I think. Yeah. Like structure. model. Think 7 hours a day would be sustainable sleep. I mean, that would be you would find out. And find out. Sustainable deals with habit formation as well. So if you can't form a habit, it's not sustainable, despite it being potentially useful. Yeah, I think we're getting a pass on the appraisal. Yeah. Not today. Okay. 折り目。
折り目
Alternating is not consistency. So you either do it across all 6 hours, or you're doing 7.5. You're asking if something is sustainable, but you haven't done anything. You didn't decide on something that's consistent. Old.
不法
Oh. Ooh.
感染
Consent. Wait. Thread infection. Oh. And then your heck. And your
伝染病 鉱石
Koichi.
生じる採
採
血
血 uh-oh. No one said it was easy. That's ironic, considering if you were to aim for 6 hours instead of alternating 6 and 7.5 hours, that would end up being easier than hard. But you kind of just chose to look at it as you can't get your way, so it's hard. German. Oh, voting.
Yude tamago.
Tamako.
変 衛生
衛
芸術家
Geijutsuka.
折れる
Oreru. What? It's me? Oh. Right. Do.
血液
Oh no, Waka? Ra.
汚染
Sen.
妨害
Ogai. Mm. They're all kind of similar. 10. What the Ken? Thing suitable. I've been dealing with risk. Why can't school hours start at 7 p.m.? If school hours started with 7 p.m., you'll still find problems with it. Realistically, you'll find problems with everything because you work on idealism.
基本的
Honeteki. Seven p.m. doesn't change the problem you're having right now. 7 p.m. doesn't promote consistency. Honteki. Okay. No? Okay. Uh-oh. Yo? Yeah. Wait. Ryu. Ryu and Do. How will you do this? Do and Do. The rules. Do and do. Superfluous. Shin? Oh no. This. Huh. That's not good. That's terrible. Oretsu? Hmm. It's probably Q or line. Was how are you different? Line of text. So, oops.
行列
Got it. That's Chinese.
手
Ekaru?
軽
Hang on. Light handed. And light, just lightweight. Huh. He used to have consistent sleep schedule a couple years back. Wonder why that works so well and why current doesn't? Certainly be a question you're able to answer. Some point. Light-handed. Thought it may be something just light or easy. Oh no, it might be like simple. Oh, okay.
直線
Oh, what's happening? Why am I drawing a blank on distant? Oh, I remember now.
永遠
A. Ori.
料理人
Oh, this could help with that other one. Can it? No, it doesn't really.
豪華
Oh, yeah, it doesn't. The one that. Oh.
帰る
Kaeru. Yeah, that's drama's not here, but we talked about Kaeru 2 days in a row. This is Kaeru. And then the other one was Kaisu. Okay, ooh. Not happy. Is it joy? What the? What word did they use? All of those other ones are perfectly alright. It's probably something like happiness. Come on. Come on, WaniKani. You can do better than that. Oh, that horrible kanji one about drama? You have so much drama? Which one was that? Drama. Wake. Wake. Okay.
机 外来
This one's actually special.
和訳
Wayake. The Airu. Drama. Interesting. I can kind of see that. Airu is change. Yeah, to change. Drama. Let me go look. Drama. There's drama? Machiai's waiting room is not drama either. Machi is wait and I is to meet and stuff. I don't know where the drama is coming from. Oh, you're talking about this. Just kidding.
待合室
You were talking about what's on my screen. I was looking at Jisho. I have no idea what you mean by drama.
変化
Okay. It's still like a tongue twister. Machiaishitsu? Yeah.
肉欲
Nikuyoku. Nikuyoku.
Yeah.
Oh, the drama thing in YouTube streams, you try to add parentheses with context about what was being said at the time due to stream delay. And that helps you remember hen? I'm still not sure which character you're referring to. Airu uses hen. The character is hen. And then you said drama, and I'm like, I don't know what Airu have anything to do with drama at the moment. You really want to learn some tongue twisters? The ones Real Japan do are good. There's a song by Mono no Aware where the lyrics are all tongue twisters. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, we talked about the hen character. Yeah. Mika, you probably heard Tai hen. Tai hen this. Tai hen this a lot. Tai hen means like, oh boy, difficult, tough. Like, you probably, technically in English, you say Tai hen this like 40 times in a row on a regular day. Like, why does it have to be so hard? Tai hen this. It's like, why can't class just start at 7 p.m. Tai hen this. that would be how you would remember hen if you want. Tai is just very or a lot. So tai hen this. Your favorite is banana no, I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna assume it has something to do with, okay, the mystery. I see. Nata and then mystery again with nano nazo. Interesting. That's all. Nazo? Okay. I see. So we're doing nazo. Oh, I see. The tongue twisters around nazo. I see. Interesting.
AQ.
You know, the stereotypical one that people keep telling me about is niwa. You know, all the things with niwa. Niwatori, right? Niwatori and niwa for garden, and then niwa for like maybe feathers, 2 feathers. That one happens a lot. People enjoy that one. I don't exactly know what the tongue twister was, but it deals with niwa. Yeah, the moment someone, you know, you come by and then it's like, oh, this person's learning niwatori. And then it's like, oh, did you learn niwa yet for a garden? Yeah. Like, oh, here's a tongue twister. It's like, oh, that's cute. Tongue twisters are fun. I don't know a lot of English tongue twisters either. You know, outside the meme stuff like seashells by the seashore situation, or how much wood can a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood, right? Your typical ones. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Interesting. Yeah, the two like Americana ones are like seashells by the seashore. I don't know if how much woodchuck can a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood was Americana or British. I think seashells by the seashore might be British before it was Americana. The Lathe police dismisses us. Oh, interesting. Like kind of a older English thing. Dismisseth us. Oh, here's one for English. They're not tongue twisters, but it's more like old age English stuff. Old age English stuff. Okay, so the repeating thing is not this. Yeah, that's fun. That's interesting. Repeating things, I'm not entirely sure. I haven't ever associated tongue twisters with repeating phrases, but more so the long sentences that have repetitious sound. the dismisseth, right? Dismisseth. There's expiring ending words in English that are not very common anymore, at least not in the Americana sense. So things like desks, tesks, I still say those things. So like if I'm talking to someone younger, I would say desk, or I would say like s, as opposed to desks, tesks. That's kind of like the dismisseth. Dismisseth is like one of those like older English things that kind of, some of the stuff I still preserve the endings. Also, I guess the dropping of K's and the dropping of T's. Quite a lot of things that have been dropped already. Yeah, saying things like that 5 times as fast as you can is a common challenge. Now hear me out. Those things do the opposite of what I feel one should articulate. It's largely about articulation, and articulation is not about speed. So I often find that the ones where you have to repeat as quickly as possible as opposed to slowly enunciating it, it's kind of like the opposite effect. I'm not quite sure if the tongue twister is fun because you want to trip people up, or it's fun because you can say those things in a manner that helps you articulate. Like for example, when you speed up, that's not quite what the function. Yeah, it's more of a, well, I disagree about that. I don't like the kid. Oh, wait. Actually, we have to clarify. I agree with you. That's more of a thing that kids do for fun, to speed up. Yeah, I agree with that. Like to speed up until you like trip up and like quote unquote twist your tongue. Older, when I'm like, now that I'm older and stuff, I typically like the idea of tongue twisters in order to help people articulate. So like when you say red lorry, yellow lorry, like you know, red lorry, yellow lorry over and over, right? Like red lorry, yellow lorry. The idea is you're using tongue twisters to help you articulate. So you're actually slowing down to reach a point. Yeah, actors, exactly. Actors use tongue twisters to warm up. So that's what I do. I like tongue twisters for that reason. It's to try to slow down, then warm up, and then you stay at a point where you still have articulation, as opposed to kids who like, oh yeah, just say it as fast as possible. And then that the fun part is like screwing up and whatnot. Yeah, they have practical purposes. Yeah, tongue twisters. When James was saying he was interested in tongue twisters, I was trying to empathize. Like I enjoy tongue twisters because they have functions in a speech. If you say, you know, she sell seashells by the seashore, right? The idea is you're trying to find where your cadence is, and then it helps you like warm up in the day. Sometimes when you haven't spoken in a long time, it can come off as like things do not have articulation in them. And the dismissive is a great way to like kind of get the at the end. Thus, and this, that, these, those, right? Thoughts, think. Like, I think thoughts that thrill them. I think thought, you know, and it's already tough for me. Like, I think thoughts that thrill them. So when you say it slower and you're trying to warm up, it kind of gets your mouth going, which can really help with it. You know, it can help with articulating sounds which are close to each other. Yeah. And then one of the nice things about tongue twisters, in my opinion, is sometimes it gets you to relate sounds together. Like if you start thinking about words that sound similar or concepts that sound similar, you can form relationships with them, the way the sound is and how your mouth shape works. So then you can appreciate the subtle differences, like between this, these, that, think, talk, fort, though, thy, thus. It's really like cathartic in my opinion. And then you can do ending ones, you know. It's interesting that in English a lot of times the tongue twisters are the beginning sounds. Sometimes ending sounds are pretty wonderful too when you string ending sounds. And then that was the desks, desks, sketches, chairs. There's different endings that you can like help with the articulation. Dropping the endings of sounds kind of makes it sound like you're sliding into everything. So when you have sharp sounds like what is it? Snatch, right? Snatch, swipe, stitch, task. Those things then can close up your not that there it's good or bad, like you can trail off and all of that. The idea, like the perception of sharp articulation, at least in English, deals with like strongly starting and also strongly ending in each of your words. Then it feels like all the words are very sharp. Like instead of saying sharp with a slight right? Sharp versus sharp. It's interesting, for sure. You used to struggle separating free and three. Oh, I have a fun little story. I have a tiny story. So I was watching, I like playing Persona, right? Like Persona 5, the Phantom X, and I was looking at like Japanese people covering Phantom X, right? Or actually, I take it back. It's hard to tell, but that person was either Chinese. It was likely more Chinese. They were speaking two different languages, but when they were speaking English, their accent was coming sort of from Chinese. It's more likely from Chinese. And you know how gacha games, right? Gacha games have skills, like skill names that are very complicated skill names. So this person was trying to describe how he tackles an event. And every time he went to say, oh, okay, so now, you know, Ayaka, use Ayaka's turn, use skill tree. And I'm like, what skill tree? Like, Ayaka doesn't have a skill name tree? Like, what the heck? And he kept saying this, like, skill true. Skill true, and skill tree. And I'm like, I don't know what skills this person is talking about. Like, I swear I understand this game. And the person was pretty rapid. Like, they were talking constantly, and like, oh, now I get it, because he was selecting his skills very quickly, right? 1, 2, 3. It's like, oh, okay, now is the perfect time to use skill tree. And I'm like, oh, I get it now. Yeah, skill tree. Because hear me out. You might be thinking, that doesn't, in this context, you can only interpret it as skill 3, right? Skill 3. That's, to me, I was way off base. I thought he was talking about the skill tree. Like, what I mean is, like, the build. Like, the character build. Like, he was referring to, like, some sort of... At first, I thought he wasn't speaking English, because he was kind of, like, going back and forth. between the languages. So this is kind of one of those moments that's interesting. And then once I was able to hear it, I no longer had problems understanding him. And this occurs a lot at universities, especially when you're at a like international one. And it also occurs in conventions, like when you go to like, well, not really conventions, but like conferences is what the word would be used for these, like conferences. When people talk, it takes like a couple minutes, but you kind of get back on the bicycle quite quickly. And it's not a bad or good thing. It's interesting that you can notice these things over time when you're comparing and contrasting sounds. A tree is a very, very solid indicator. This person was reading Chinese on their screen, so they're lightly Chinese, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're Chinese. Like they could be somewhere else, but tree is a really common one. th is very, very common. That's how I related to the tree thing. You guess it'd be common where you are too if you actually socialize. Yeah, tree. So when you said there's a lot of Mandarin or Canto, a lot of Cantonese speakers, tree definitely comes up quite a lot. I'm not sure if I grew up with the tree problem. I think I was more of the we. So this is the other one, right? Re versus we. So we are tree, right? We are tree. We are tree, as opposed to we are tree, right? Or we are three. So re can come up too, and this would be common to Japanese speakers as well. Re versus we. It's interesting, and not because they can't, not because wa is not like wa exists, you know, wa, but at the same time when they go to add it to e, it can come up as we, as opposed to we. And this, I think it's more like the open re is more like what my parents do, my Chinese parents do. Re. Like roll, ra. So then it becomes re. I think it's endearing because you can tell that they speak a different language. It's not a bad thing to me. I think it means that they're trying to speak another language, and they can try to speak another language while also having another language. So that's more than one. It's someone who is trying to speak more than one language, and that is impressive. It is something more than they have to do a lot of times. Turns out it's quite 50-50 Mando Canto from what you hear. Oh, okay. So parents used to ask me why I say 3 as tree as a child, or like hui. Yeah, hui. Yeah, you used to swap a lot between, yeah, hui, chui. You get that, the we like a little open. And I think initially I had that problem, or not really that problem, but the difference, and then moving and being around multi-generational Americans, that kind of evaporated, you know, children, tribulations, assimilation, adaptation, what have you, conformity. To this day, my I don't know spelling enunciation isn't very good. Enunciation. Yeah. Honestly, it took me 20 years to, whenever someone says, "Ah, you need to enunciate," I'm like, "Do you mean pronounce? Pronounce? No, enunciate, enunciate." I'm like, I don't know what that means. It was through quite a lot of stern and direct feedback to my presentation style, my seminar style, that ultimately allowed me to non-verbally appreciate what someone means by articulation, which is dealing with enunciation. So articulation and projection. Projection is one that is a lot, in my opinion, felt a lot. So when someone's speaking to a mic, you might be thinking, all right, mic, you know, you can just amp it up and things will project. Like, you know, it's going into their, it's going into your ear holes and your headphones. You just turn up the volume and the person will be projecting. No, not particularly. The one that it took a while for me to understand when someone says, oh, you should project your voice a bit more. When you project, there's a form of confidence without being like unsure. And oftentimes people think projecting means to get louder. So then when you're in front of a mic, you're like, oh, you just get louder. You can crank up your volume. That doesn't create projection. Projection deals with like not doing this. Like you could really just close out your mouth and still be really loud, but not very quite clear. So a lot of times projection does get kind of muddled in with articulation. And those are the like the nebulous terms all the time when someone was talking about public speaking. They're like, okay, can you like articulate a little bit more and enunciate your words? And oh, don't forget to project it. And I'm like, so what does that actually mean? So over time, the way I had to learn what those are is to literally do it and see what the people say about my speaking. So it was those times when, hey guys, so today I'm going over my method on how to measure cells in a suspended solution and measuring the, you know, the local concentration of my target protein. And then you start thinking like, oh, hey guys, today I will be demonstrating the methods, the different steps that I've taken to measure the local concentrations of my target protein, right? So it becomes like you literally can feel what you're doing is really almost feels exaggerated. The first time you have to go and do things, this relates to language learning. When you first start by committing to exaggeration, and then when you exaggerate and then slow down and refine that process, oftentimes projection, articulation, enunciation, and stuff becomes enough for you to intuit it. So oftentimes when people talk about, oh, but what about the bad habits of finding the subtleties in pitch accent and whatnot, you exaggerate it first, and then you narrow in on the separation and the nuances. So you have to learn how to walk, right? Grossly crawl and walk before you can do tiptoes and gymnastics. So the idea behind tongue twisters, so we're going to relate it way back to the point of this digression, which is tongue twisters. Tongue twisters are very similar. You can first investigate how you enunciate the things. So red lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Right? Red lorry, yellow lorry. So a lot of times when you have sounds that are close together, you can also experiment with the sounds. Like how can you manipulate a repetitious sound going up, down, extended, and it's part of English, not so much necessarily part of other languages. Yesterday we were talking about the stress accent, where it has like you're doing three things simultaneously, at least minimally three things simultaneously, and they become attached to each other. Tongue twisters can help you separate them because you'll hear the repetitious sound adjacent and next to some other sound. It can give you comparative and contrast through intuition to determine like the manipulations. Pitch accent is relative to each other, but when you take at least this is what I observe, when you understand the nature of another language, like for example Japanese's pitch accent, like I don't have like the knowledge to reproduce the pitch accent accurately yet, but I understand the nature of the pitch accent. Like I can imitate a pitch accent and tell you what it is. The idea is when you understand that, you can also appreciate why when a Japanese person speaks English, there are specific things that make them sound that way. Like how evenly spaced their English syllables are. Because of mora. Mora is the consistent thing, so they don't dynamically switch mora that often. And that creates that really solid cadence that kind of give you that impression, oh wait, this person kind of sounds, and if you listen to Japanese speakers speaking English enough, you're like, oh, okay, that does sound like the qualities of the Japanese language filtering into English. And over time, I don't know how actors go about it, but voice actors like intuit or study these things, I imagine, to some extent, like consciously or practice, where they can imitate people's accents without like changing languages, but like, or even changing languages. Some actors legitimately can mirror sound back and then sound like that for the very specific reason of reproducing it without any higher comprehension or need for complexity of understanding the meaning behind it, which is incredibly impressive. And it's a way to demonstrate that with practice, people can do amazing things. I think using your diaphragm to support is important for projection too, like singers. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, when they really have to, like, yeah, definitely. Articulation, there's one thing, articulation and enunciation, or the, like, what is the difference then between articulation and enunciation? At least my experience have often, when I imagine articulation being the separation of words in your sentence, like in context, when you have sounds adjacent to each other, articulation is often one nuance that separates articulation from enunciation. Is enunciation typically is in a void. It's referring to your enunciation of a very specific word, like important. However, when important for is next to each other, important for, that's articulation. That's like part of articulation that might not necessarily be part of enunciation, which is the separation of your words. So when someone sounds articulate, but their enunciation might not be the greatest, it's something like important for projection. Important for projection, right? So then you combine them both and you have someone who can enunciate while also articulating. And then you can do the close-up, you can do important for projection. So now you have important for projection. So now you have projection, articulation, and enunciation in the same pile. And you can deliberately, and I'm not saying it's always the best, there are appropriate times when you can sound really timid and you're trying to give an idea of reservation. So you can close up your mouth to make it feel like it's a little bit less, aggressive, right? You can lower down your voice and you can close up your mouth a little bit and you can still talk, but it would sound more like a softer, like reserved, like I'm slowly coming closer to you. Now, it might be a little bit muddled, but sometimes when you close up and not project too hard, it can serve other functions. Most of the time, though, when I'm speaking through the mic, I tend to emphasize enunciation, projection, and articulation all at the same time. So they're like kind of cranked. It makes me sound like I'm attentive and involved in the process. How long did I practice this for? Ever since I had to give presentations. So the first time I ever gave a presentation was when I was interested in communication styles. That was like when I was 13, maybe. The closest experience I remember is giving a presentation on Shakespeare. Oh, actually, yeah. On the motifs in Shakespeare. That's the one that I remember most vividly. So it has been over 20 years focusing on these aspects of communication. I wanted to be a singer, by the way. Like, singing, musician. I was an artistic person for a while before I left high school, because high school was filled with general education stuff so you could pursue things. And then in science, I stopped doing all of those things. And one thing, except for one thing, which is communication. So writing, right? Writing, reading, writing and speaking are the two outputs in science that stays with you. And they were weak. They were incredibly weak, largely because when you're giving presentations in high school, you're focusing on different aspects. High school was more so focused on the idea of communicating the context, the comprehension, and they weren't necessarily focused on engagement, ability to transition. Like transition, you don't get graded on transition. You get graded on the cohesiveness of the content that you're presenting. Eventually, though, the content is something that most people have in common. So when you're giving seminars and stuff, there is a different aspect that gives you an edge. And the edge is your ability to speak. Your ability to speak communicates a level of depth that is often the game changer, the smaller difference at some point. So yes, it is still very important to get your content straight. However, when most people have access to the same information, it's very difficult to differentiate other than the thing that takes time. Communication, speaking, takes time. There's no equalizer. Like what I mean is time is the ultimate equalizer. There's no like fast track to developing your communication skills or your style or how many styles you can have, and a collector, if you will. So it's kind of like a person who likes to play video games for the sake of understanding all of the different types of video games, as opposed to sticking to one type of video game and specializing in that. That goes very similarly with language. The well-rounded person that has their unique style is the culmination of quite literally their entire life's experience. At least most. The more likely it's irreproducible. Specialists is often viewed as a comparison of degrees. So if you wanted to mirror my communication style, I would probably suggest a form of self-exploration. You want to encourage yourself to be in different situations so that you can develop those experiences. My attempt to break down the different parts of speaking are purely anecdotal. So what someone envisions as a form of articulation in speech might not line up with whatever I was describing. Like the idea that people argue, where does the pitch accent come from, or where does the stress come from? One that when singing I haven't really learned yet, because I stopped singing a long time ago. It was around like my puberty, my adolescence, where I stopped singing. The one that I still am not quite sure is the tenor of a singer and the intonation, the tone, the tenor versus the tone of the singer. Like I was working on that when I stopped singing, where when someone's like, oh yeah, I like the timbre and the tenor, or like the tone of your like singing voice. And I'm like, okay, if I do this, does the aspect of the tone change, or does the tenor of my voice change? So those are the things that I think is really funny when people are trying to describe sound. And speaking was very similar. When people are trying to provide advice on public speaking, it can come off as that. It's like, oh no, you need to close off your mouth somewhat. Make your vowels brighter. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, how do you make a vowel brighter? How do you make it more like, how do you make, so like, for example, vowel, right? And English is, in my opinion, incredibly, like, since I'm an English speaker, I'm only going to be talking from the perspective of English. The way English works, like, the thing that I'm most close to, when I listen to voice acting, I don't often think that people who speak English appreciates, because they don't like public speaking in general, in my opinion, there's no attachment to it. They don't necessarily be able to appreciate how many variables that are involved in giving a believable English voice acting. And how can I illustrate the consequences of English's dynamic? Think about dubs, think about voice acting, and how spurious English voice acting is compared to, perhaps we can do some apples and oranges, compared to Japanese, for example. The adherence in Japanese pronunciation is incredibly subtle and also incredibly disciplined and restricted. In English, is heavily variety and diverse, not necessarily just because there's a lot of people who speak English. It could be a chicken or the egg thing. Is it because a lot of people speak English that creates that variety and flexibility, or the other way around? I would like to say at this rate, we didn't live long enough to see the conception of English and going through the phases. So it's probably a arguable majority driver that English itself, due to the flexibility of its rhythm, right? Its rhythm, so its beats, its volume, and its pitch, that when you go to voice act, the talented people who are able to elicit the appropriate motions using their English requires something that feels like magic still, largely because it's not consistent enough to know. Like, what is an articulate person is already incredibly difficult to like narrow down, largely because there aren't really that consistent rules for it. What I'm hand waving now is some of the most consistent, or like majority agreed upon rules, like how to project and how to be particular about your words. You really say every letter like vowel and not like vowel. Yeah. So vowel would be someone who, so you can still be articulate while sounding like a lack of enunciation. So vowel would be a way to sound articulate but not enunciating the word. Vowel would still be somewhat articulate, but the middle is not slurred together, right? So, and then there's also closing and opening. Vowel. So you can still have like higher volume and lower volume in places of the word, as opposed to pitch. So you could say vowel, right? So your volume is changing. So I changed the first one I changed was pitch, and then the second one I changed the volume only and kept the pitch the same. And then you have vowel. So now you change the length. And English does all three of them at the same time, as opposed to like exercising discipline to keep like two of the things the same. I was making an example yesterday how if you do any of the things, like the things the same, it will sound monotone. Especially if you do two of them the same, it will sound monotone. Like you can keep your stress, you can keep your quote unquote pitch the same, and you could do something like vowel, vowel, and then you go like vowel. So then it becomes monotone, but you're still doing the pitch altering, right? And then I added a bit of volume on the o. But you could do like yeah is more just a thing kids do for fun, right? So then you have like trying to separate your beats all together. But English has this feeling, and I actually think learning Japanese and Chinese a lot of times kind of give you, or learning another language in general based on its like structure and like references and stuff, makes it so that you're understanding it from a different point of view. You're kind of understanding it from an analytical point of view, and that's very different from your first language. And the first language has this special intuition and feeling that you're trying to seek in the second language. So right now I'm kind of curious when that's going to happen, like where I would say, oh, you can do this and you can do this even within the subtlety of Japanese. But there are things that are objective, quote unquote, I'm going to put this in light, objectively more restrictive and disciplined to create the consistency in Japanese voice acting, in my opinion. And they use like other different cues to create like nonverbal cues and extraneous exception areas to emphasize emoting. And in English, like you can be poker face and still be sound excitable, because English changes a lot of other things at the same time. I think it's a low appreciation for English, largely because it's the first language when I'm speaking to the other people. So native speakers, like native speech, the thing that I emphasize a lot is, despite having native speech, oftentimes the thing that you're native in is the thing that you are more likely to underappreciate, not overappreciate. And then a learner tends to being overappreciate the thing that they're currently learning, as opposed to using and relying on the things that they already know. Which, in my opinion, it's both. My enthusiasm for my first language, or my first incredibly learned language, English, is I apply either the same or greater enthusiasm for my target language. And then those target languages' enthusiasm goes back to feed upon my native language. Rarely is it more of a situation where someone is trying to assimilate a new language while trying to actively abandon an existing language. And that, to me, if I had to make a big leap of logic, that's one of the largest contributors of consternation for language learners. The target language is seen as a more rewarding aspect, despite you using your existing language. Your existing language is transforming and acquiring more value in your process of learning a target language. In most of the time, it's demonized, where like, oh, okay, well, I still have to like describe these things in my language, and that means that it's a waste of time. And I'm like, did you learn anything about English when you're learning Japanese? I mean, it is, the process is called language learning. I mean, I could understand if you're saying Japanese learning, that's fine. Then you're really focused on entirely the aspect of Japanese learning. But if you're a language learner, you're looking at everything, right? Because it's you're not. There are people who say they're Japanese learners, as opposed to Japanese language learners. Because in my opinion, the language comes first. So you're understanding how well you understand and think deeply about language and their relationship comes from the idea that you understand language and relationships. If you choose to learn something in a void, I get it. You can go to Japan and you can still learn that in a void. I rarely learn things in a void. Like if I move to Japan, I will still be thinking about the United States. Like that's what makes deep connection and deep thinking incredibly important and valuable, to hold on to your memories. Some people use it to escape. So that's coping. Coping is pretending or trying to pretend like the thing that you don't like doesn't exist anymore, right? It's also avoidant behavior. And that type of thing can work for certain people. For myself, it's not. The way I developed speech and communication skills was related to all the things that are happening. In order to understand all the things that are happening, that's led to my improvement in understanding communication. Not avoid things or set things that I don't want to address and hope that they never come up again. So one of the things is, if you're hoping you never want to speak, if you never have to speak English again and understand how to explain Japanese in English, move to Japan. Because according to the studies, even then, Japan has one of the lowest associations with English. And what I mean by that is the people in Japan, there are many converging evidence that suggests that they really prefer to speak Japanese. So naturally, you can go there and do that. I don't think my Japanese proficiency or Chinese proficiency would be significantly impacted, like my progress, assuming that I need to do that. It is my strength. In fact, my communication skills is what allows me to also try to embrace pitch accent and embrace tonality. And yes, it looks like a train wreck when it starts, but it's part of the process. You can try to think that the first time you open your mouth, you'll do it right. And you can keep doing that until you believe it's always perfect. I rarely ever, if I do it for the 3,000th time or like the 20th year of this, I don't typically think of it as perfect. I think of it as, what else can I do with it? And learning a language opens up great manner of things, especially for English speaker, like from my perspective. What I have learned from Japanese and Chinese, I can now even more adapt to English. I can hear people with different accents. Like I like listening to, this is why I listen to multilingual podcasts and vlogs. I can hear the English better because I understand the vowels or like the sounds that a Chinese speaker and Japanese speaker use. So it gets to a point where when they're speaking, like, oh, hey, I think I can imitate that. And that's cool, at least in my opinion. That to me is an indirect, maybe a little underappreciated way of understanding, like, oh, you're getting closer. You're kind of understanding, you know. Like, you know, horu, like horu long, like longu, right? Horu longu didu, right? Didu yo. I'm just like reading a bunch of English words, but the idea is it's internalized. The way you're reading stuff and sound is already becoming a perspective of the other language. Do you find it easy to pick up on where people are from based on their English? Only on the languages that I'm aware of, right? So, like, sometimes there's not enough nuance between, it's only based on the things that I know, right? So, for example, I can't narrow down between Italian and Spanish sometimes, or Spanish and Portuguese, right? However, that's because I don't have any experience in the other languages, but I can at least have an inclination of what it is because I know Spanish. I know what the, like, not know Spanish as in different word. I understand Spanish, like the nature of Spanish. I don't know all the Spanish words. So when someone speaks English, you can pick up on that. When someone speaks English in, like, who's a Japanese speaker, now you can start to pick up on why specific accents are there. And to me, that's pretty cool. That's a really cool skill. In fact, I feel like it would be a very awesome thing to mess around with while voice acting, or like as an experiment, right? Right now, I think that's one of my favorite things when someone is speaking in their native language, like Japanese, and then they suddenly have to like say an English word. It's not necessarily the same as Japanese person deciding to use katakana, right? Like their English word, but earnestly a Japanese speaker trying to speak in English with an English speaker. And you become very adjusted to, like, oh, so that's where that's coming from. Oh, that's where that's coming from. Maybe one day I'll listen to more British speakers and see if I can. Soon. I think it's really fun. Maybe some activities for y'all to think about if you're ever bored or tired or feel tedious about constantly thinking in the target language. Who knows? I'm not giving, this isn't like a life hack or becoming more fluent in Japanese and Chinese. Actually, I might make an argument that it might slow you down. The thing, what I'm sharing is my interest, like how I find learning these things interesting to me. They are my creative ways of deep processing. Like, how do I find more uses for the limited things that I have learned? And it keeps me motivated. And it gives me lots of bright ideas on, or interesting ideas anyways, on how I could use it. The difference of British accent across the country always surprised you. when I there was a time, I don't know if you watch videos where like, here's all the British accents in the UK. How many do you know? So I listened to one for American accents, and there are times where I'm like, wait a minute, why did four of them sound the same? But then when I went back and listened to them even closely, it's like, no, they're really different. But on first hearing, they're the same, or like they're very similar. They're similar to the point where I hadn't been paying attention. So there's these times when people tell me that I have an American accent from a region that's right neighbor to another region. And then when I listen to them, like literally when they're talking to me, like I don't hear the difference between you and me. Like I'm speaking right now to you and you're speaking to me, and I don't hear the difference. That is a very interesting thing. I know you're saying the British accent across the country surprised you. There's also surprising natures in very close accents and how well someone can pick up the thing. Like in New York City, for example, or like in the greater New York area, there is 6 accents in one place because of its metropolitan, it's like a cultural hub. There are 6 different accents. And for most people, they can kind of identify them. Like you don't have to be American speaking to identify at least 4 of the 6 New York accents. You probably heard them too in movies. Like most of the time, it's kind of humorous because a lot of popular movies or shows that take place in New York, you hear all the accents, but sometimes it just gets lumped together as one accent. But they're very different. Like when you hear them and point it out, they're very different. Yeah, you don't watch movies, but shows, TV shows, voice actors also have varying English accents. In isolation, it's very difficult to tell. Like someone is able to at least tell me where I'm not from in the United States. Through the process of elimination, they can probably narrow down where I am from. In fact, a lot of times people just use confirmation bias and say, well, probably the northeast of the United States. Yeah. And then you, but my point was, okay, if you say northeast of the United States, which state? Because there's, in the northeast, New York is a state and it has 7 accents ish in a single city. Like I don't know if that's going to help you, right? And then I live in a place where there's I live in a state where there is 4 accents. And we're not talking about dialects here. We're just talking about English accents that I'm aware of, that it's distinguishable for me. 4 places. I don't know if there's an accent in the mountains somewhere. Usually I don't go towards mountain communities, so they're off limits. I have no idea. Mountain communities end up developing their own accents over time because of geographical isolation. And it's very, very interesting. And I imagine UK is no different. So maybe one day I will at least appreciate Japanese enough to also do that. Right now, I can tell you the only quote-unquote accents that I can hear is Kansai, Kanto, somewhere around like the further Kyushu area. Okinawans have like, these are all dialects, let alone accents. So the dialectic difference is kind of helpful. And then Hokkaido, I forgot what it's called, the Hokkaido region of peeps. There's actually 2 or 3 dialects in the northern Japanese that when you hear them, you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely different. I still don't know much about accents even in English. Yeah, I mean, the way I generalize all the accents, like oh, and I also generalize like British accents. Like if you add or, if you say or a lot more in your English, like a lot more, like sure, more, cooler, that immediately is a different English accent. Like the or part is defined by like a different person. So when you start adding and train yourself to just say that alone will make you sound like some other person in English, so some other location. Or the or one is really good. Or you run your vowels, like your double vowels, like how do we get it? How do I do it? Hold up. It's gnarly. I can't recall. Like when you slur the middle of your vowels, when you slide vowels together, it sounds like a different accent. And then your double T's is immediate. You just accent, like accent, little, what else we got? What do we got? Basket, tighter. I'm trying to think of all the different T's. And then you practice pronouncing those parts every single time. You got it. You'll sound a little different, and I think that's cool. It's kind of like getting your pitch accent right. Like if you get your pitch accent right, sometimes you're like, oh, you sound like a different person, and then suddenly your pitch accent kind of falls off. It's like, man, now you just sound gross. You sort of imitate accents sometimes to fit in places due to having... Yes, I match people. This is what I kind of miss about speaking to people, because you can, if the level of your depth of your experience can immediately allow you to adapt to the person you're talking to. So like I pronounce my ahs, like accent, my accent sometimes to fit in places, right? Or places due to having like and you know, essential versus imitate, right? Like I can't do that. Sort of hard, sort of hard, right? To that type of thing. Those things come up almost like intuitively when you're talking to someone else, so you like reflexively can mirror someone through experience, and sometimes you can do it without ever even noticing. Like I find this really humorous. Whenever I was around, as of now, you don't escape the foreigner allegations, even in your home area. That's understandable. Foreigner allegation. Anyways, more on that in the future. I've been messing around, and one day when I read a character, I play a lot of video games that don't have voice lines, and every time there's a chance that I'm reading, like I read all the lines, by the way. Like I'm that person that if I'm playing an RPG game, I read all the lines out loud. Now the thing that I wanted to experiment with is I want to read each character with a different voice. Whether that's appropriate for the character or not, that's kind of up to me. But the idea is it's fun to make the reading interesting. So that's what I do now. So like whenever I get a character, I would say, all right, so this character, he's kind of skittish, so maybe I should kind of sort of read things and do a little bit of ad-libbing in between, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just not sure if you get what I'm talking about, but perhaps it sounds a little bit uncertain, you know, like how we could project this person, right? And even without having to change your actual tenor and your tone of your voice, you can still elicit different types of emotions while reading. And I've been doing that for some time now. Instead of reading every character the same way, secretly, I kind of want to one day read like 2 lines or 3 lines for a cameo or something. It'd be kind of interesting. I wouldn't mind reading my default voice, you know, someone who says like, hey, you know, we've heard you hear your voice samples so often. We have a character in mind that is like designed to fit you. That'd be cool too. I don't mind sounding like myself. The question is, in the future, what does that mean? What does it mean to sound like myself? Because I would love to have the ability to sound very different depending on the situation. It's intriguing. Very intriguing. Patience? Yeah, I read. The reason why I read all the lines is not because it was initially, when you said patience, right? You're making the argument that there's no value. Like your inherent nature when you say, wow, patience. Patience mean that that's a lot of time used for not a lot of gain. But when I'm reading it, I'm not being patient. I'm doing something with that time. So it would be not patience, it would be consistency. Because I'm working on a craft. So whenever you need to be patient and you have to do something, you kind of want to ask, why is this person patient? Early in Japanese study, you used to do anime girl impressions. Yeah, I did that for fun. Occasionally, I'm be like, "Oh, nan desu ka?" Like, itai. Sorry for the cringe method. But when I think about those impressions, occasionally I throw it in just for fun. Like, nan desu ka? That like really accented, like what is it? Ski desu yo? Oh, I don't know. I can't do it. I'm not very good at these things. You feel like game quests are a drag sometimes? I see. One character I absolutely love, like Scottish and Irish accent stuff. So whenever a random studio decides to dub a character and they decide to hire a voice actor to do that accent, I like really get in the mood. So whenever you hear like those cutscenes with their voices, I'm like, okay, internalize. And then, you know, you skip to the in-game dialogue. I'm like, okay, so the dialogue's not there. How can I capture that? There's one character that was really adorable. It's in Ni no Kuni. Ni no Kuni, the fairy, the guy with the big nose and the lantern on it. That guy has, I don't know, it's somewhere around like that area, like Irish, Scottish kind of. And when he's saying it, it's like, oh yeah, it's so much fun trying to read his dialogue like him. Do you ever just hear a character's VA and just find their voice nice? I'm not sure if this is going to, if you're gonna find this empathetic or not. I think people's voices are genuinely interesting before they are nice. So like, oh yeah, man, that's a different voice. I can tell you the times when voices aren't as nice, and it's when they sound like me. Like, I'm not saying if by coincidence I hear someone who sounds like me is bad. It's less interesting when someone sounds like me, right? So when it comes like finding a voice is nice, if anything sounds different from me, the voice is nice. To me, like, lack of a better word for nice, yeah, really. Not, I would say interesting is not that much of an improvement. I usually find character voices very interesting. I was gonna say maybe we can flip the script and say, do I find voices that are not nice? And that deals with more of audio quality. Do I not like how I sound? No. That's, again, I already answered that question in advance. It's not that someone that sounds like me is bad, or me, that includes me because I would sound like me, is that it's not as interesting. Already answered that question. It was ahead of the question. The opposite is not true. It's not interesting. Like, there's not much to learn if the person sounds like me. If the person sounds slightly different from me, now that's interesting. Yeah, I'm not the... I like doing things that I have to do with expected results. So being consistent when I have to do something that's good. Or appropriate. When I choose to like experiment and look for something and enjoy myself, like niceness, they have to be intellectually interesting before they are like nice or sort of. So whenever I hear myself in someone, it's good, not interesting. The difference is like, not interesting doesn't mean it's bad. It just happens to be something that you're very comfy. So I don't want people to sound like me all the time. That's kind of weird. Or to me, that's kind of weird. Like, I'm not meeting someone because they are exactly like me. Again, it's not the same as saying it's bad that someone is exactly like me. Or someone keeps saying that they're exactly like me. That it's not bad. It's comfy. You like to meet, if you're a person who likes to meet other people and you don't have to explain things, you don't have to talk to them, you don't have to share things with them because they practically lived your own life. That is often a cognitive dissonance waiting to happen for someone who says, I want to learn something, I want to improve, I want to be different, and I want more things that are exciting and interesting. So oftentimes when people are in a bad place, right, a place where they can't interact with someone, it's the last thing they would do is probably to go to talk to someone who has a differing opinion or differing perspective, or finding opportunities to learn, or see them as opportunities to learn something. They usually go and escape and avoid and then keep everything the same, or wish that everything is the same. I do the opposite most of the time. Because I'm not unhappy. I don't want to maintain the same thing. I think I understand all the things that make me quite well. So now I go seek something else. I'm learning Japanese and Chinese because I want to build more of myself. I don't want to be something else. Like, there's no need. I don't want to be seen as something that is not me. For better or for worse. So some people could say like, well, then that means you're just a weird not anything. I'm like, well, yes, I'm a weird sum of everything. You can make an argument for that too. So whenever I think about my future self, when someone says, what's your goal for learning Japanese and Chinese? Just speak all 3 languages at the same time. It's like, but you're never gonna get good at any one of those sentences or those languages as good as focusing on one of them. Like, that is correct. Like, isn't that a bad thing? Like, well, I can speak 3 different languages. Like, but that's like, why do something when you can't be good at all of them? Like, that's a good question. You should really ask yourself that. Alright, you're going to take your 6... Okay. Yep. Go to sleep. You got some blankies, some rest. It'll be interesting to discuss these things another day. Yeah. Yeah. Anytime. Anytime. And the last question that was asking, like, rhetorically, like the last piece of rhetoric, the important thing is the person that tells me, or they project, right? When they project and say, well, you wouldn't be satisfied or happy if you can't be good at all the things that you put your mind to. The reason why I propose that rhetoric is sometimes when someone is really stuck in their own head, that's how they speak to another person. They're not interested necessarily in what I have to say or understand what I have to say. They are projecting their desires and stuff, and that's telling me a lot about them. I don't know if the things I say would enlighten them or not. And I feel that's kind of what it's like to speak to target, like, to language learners 9 out of 10 times. I don't think it makes me any less happy or more happy. And it would be very difficult for me to predict if I were to say, someone later down the road criticized that my pitch accent is all wrong. Like, I wouldn't be more or less happy about that. If they say something like, well, no one will ever respect your Japanese, I'm like, okay. That's a projection, right? Because in the future, the likely case is there will be people in my position and there will be people not in my position. And I look forward to interacting with that. What are the % chance you'll get more first period content again? Oh, breakfast period content? Probably not today. Not today. We're gonna definitely, well, 6 hours? We're probably gonna finish by 6 hours. It's probably a low chance today. Yeah, it's Tuesday. Probably a low chance. Alrighty. Sleep well. Sleep well. Alright, let's get back to this. Whoops. Oh, and one last disclaimer. What I said, it's no excuse for not trying. I think that's a really big, important point. When someone says, when I'm saying, well, that's okay if I don't become fluent in 3 different languages. It's okay, but I'm still going to try. And, you know, the counter argument would be like, why settle for mediocre? Just give up on 2 of them and be great in 1. It's like, but I'm not unhappy about it. Like, you're trying to project your dissatisfaction from your end. I never said I was upset or I would be dissatisfied. The idea is I'm still going to try and do it. So the difference here is people worry that if you keep giving yourself leniency, like, oh, you're not going to be fluent. So if someone says they're not going to ever be fluent, do they try harder or less hard, right? Because they'll give themselves excuse. It's like, I run towards it. I run towards it. It's a challenge that I gladly engage in out of futility. And you never know. I might actually be successful. Who knows? Or reach whatever minimum criteria that person was projecting. Right. There are probably still hundreds of people that I've met over the last 2 years that are waiting for the day when they come back and say, see, you did all the bad habit. I told you so that it would happen. And now you're upset about it, right? No, probably not. Because then you would have to sit through 3 hours of me explaining how that habit has become useful, part of the process, expected of this, and then when I have to correct it, I will correct it based on the idea that I must work towards something else. That's probably the most consistent thing that will probably happen. And I'm still waiting on one of those peeps who like come back and say, yeah, you see what I mean? You basically wasted your time. It's like, no, I haven't. You want to sit, would you have the attention span and the respectful, mutual respect to sit down and listen to me explain, or attempt to explain anyways, something that they will probably not listen to because they spend like 90% of their time projecting their own kindness or act of benevolence. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And I look forward to that challenge. Exclude. Oh no. Exclude. I feel like it's oh no, wait. Yes. Exclude is Joel, right? And Joel. Nozoku.
覗く
Nozoku. Hey, something about the nose. I should write something. Oh, I did write something about this. Oh, Joe. Oh, bad cookies. Oh, Joe is excluding the bad cookies by a sense of smell. Okay.
Henji.
Sakaran. Oh no, Sakurambo.
さくらんぼ
Oh, Sakurambo. I thought it might go back down. Sakurambo. Sakurambo. What is you? Jared. Ata? Oh. Oh ho.
方法
Oh ho. Okay. Okay.
遠い
Mm.
祖母
Bobo. You're not ma. When you're oi awaseru. Ne? Oi awaseru. No? What? Really? What's that not? I? No. Oh, no. Oi, not oi.
問い合わせる
Oi awase. To like inquire. That's not the primary meaning. Oh no, it is the primary meaning. Oh, that's interesting. I thought it might have been like to question. Which is very similar.
Sai-san.
Yeah. You are different. You are different. You are prophet. Nama. Oh, that was a typo.
生卵
Oops. Boom. Oh, what? Wait. Oh, wait.
文法
Boompo. Oh, is it like? Oh no, it's like. Yeah, I wanted to say diction, but process. Like a composite, maybe. What is like a method of grammar? Yeah, it's boompo. Yeah, boompo. Yeah, that's grammar. I've known that. What? Is that not what that is? Wait, what is going on? Oh, throw away? Dude.
「訳語」
勝者
Okay. In?
変人
Okay. Ichitsukan. What the? Did I misspell?
美術館 卵
Luen is so much rougher than tamago. At the moment, this is not going well. To make hard. Yeah, it's to make something harder, or like to strengthen. It's kind of like to. You just solid it up. How does that work? How do you harden? Or to harden? Think about meru. Katameru.
固める
What? Oh, that's a miss.
温かい 自
Jidosha.
動車
Or automobile.
欲しい
This was different. Very different. Yakedo.
やけど
So, Fushin? Oh no. Fusatsu. Oh no. Photograph. Dealing with that. This is photocopy, or it's archaic, but photocopy. How do I photocopy? Sha.
複写
Instead of copy, right? Copy. Like copy する copy する
音章
音章 Oops. That was Chinese. Kaku. No. Fuko. No, Fuko. Fukokaku.
不合格
Fukokaku. Like not unqualified. It's closer to what I refer to that type of phrasing.
医師
Ishi. Ishi will. Kinenjitsu. Kinenjitsu. Excuse me? No? Kinennichi? No. Oh, kinenri.
記念日
Futsu. That doesn't sound right. Oh, wait.
複数
Fukusu. Not tsu. Fukusu. Fukusu. Or doubling. Doubling is Yuki.
勇気
Yuki. Okay.
英訳
Yaku. Wee woo, wee woo. That's harai. Maybe like ki harai? Ki harai is weird. Or ki no. Shi harai.
支払い
Shi harai. Okay. De no sho. Ne? Oh. Evidence or proof.
採用
This one's so weird.
桜肉
Okay, so I skipped this. Do I know it better this? I don't know. It's still on ka. I'm still stuck on ka. Oh yeah. It's not hanayaka. No, it's... Oh, is it like... No. No. It is, right? Hanayaka, right?
華やか
Hanayaka. Oh, we picked up 7. Where are these 7 coming from? Okay. Oops. What? Oh.
健康
Oh. Why do I think it's... No. Surplus scooters. What do we... How does surplus scooters work? Not Chinese. How do we get... Dang it! Alright, we're gonna come.
就業
This is like akogareru.
憧れる
Akogareru. Oh. To long for. To yearn after. Oh, you really. Well, we're just gonna add. Ah. The what? uh. Oh, urge. Set. Oh boy. Oh, the other one is tall. Right? Yeah, the other one is tall. Haku. So what does that mean? Setsu and haku. Set haku.
切迫
Seppaku. Urgent. Angry. Oh no. Is it like E? Oh no. It's possible? Wait. Incarnation? Alright. What else we got? Oh no. Headache. My headache. Oh, 2 is the right. Onyomi. Onyomi. Oh, you go to the zoo first.
頭痛
Zoo. This is toll. What did I say toll was? Route. Ooh. Yeah, for route. Okay. And angry. Oh no, wait. Is it like? Oh no. I think it's E. Something possible, but not possible. Get hang. No, I don't think it is. All I can think about is Ika. Everything brings me back to Ika. So Oko.
怒る
What does tomorrow look like? Well, we got the early day and then 16 and 17. We might actually start before 16 and 17. What's the following day? 15 and 20. I think we're just gonna start early tomorrow. We gotta boost our clock here. These things will be guaranteed. I mean, those are pretty reasonable times. Alright. 2.5 hours. I was kind of on track. And then not on track. Alright, definition. Let's do our defs. What are our defs? Welcome. Interesting. Acid. Got our strict. Our throw away. Pedantic. Secrecy. Oh. Secret. Alright, let's do harmonics. Gay. Kyoto. Anta. Genji. Su. Mitz. Mit. Eat. Alright. Now reads into our defs. Here we go. Q. Long time. Or longo. Q. Longo. Jo. Preface. Yeah. Welcome. Shi. Intention. On. Kindness. Tai. Gather. Sakura. Eternity. Eki. Liquid. Gan. Eyeball. Soul. Ancestor. Seki. Achievement. Kyo. Interest. Defense. Good. Good. Am I drawing? Nice fucker. Oh, duplicate. That's it. Random. San. Agree. Sun, acid, scent, coin, cop, domesticate, show, wound, full, party, tamago, egg, gen, strict, sit, throw away, pull, into, mitsu, mitsu, secrecy, pull, 30, yaku, yaku, you, yaku, want, done, warm, skue, desk, eat, secret, yaku, translation, send, die. All right, that's a wrap for WaniKani today. If we're gonna watch this later. Arigatou gozaimasu. As always, feel free to follow along, pick up WaniKani for yourself. Let me know what you think. You are more than welcome to come on by and yap, discuss things. We had a little bit of a yap today, trying to embrace the idea of enunciation, articulation, speaking, and the intersection of different languages, right? So until next time, 皆さんまたね、見てくれてありがとう. I will be right back. I'm gonna take a quick break and stretch. Hello there, Bree. And walk around a little bit, and I'll be back for Hanzihiro. Thank you, thank you.